James, you testing me? Is that what this is? Because this has been a week. We gotta slow down here. As much as I love getting all these superhero announcements, all these deep cut characters that I wanted to see for so long. Not that, like, Mr. Terrific is a deep cut character, but like not, Superman or Batman or anything like that. But getting the announcements that these guys are gonna be in the movie's fantastic. I would love it if I could get like a day just to fully react to one of them in one of these Nando Cut videos. It takes a little time to put together, it gets tricky because today I wake up to the news that Anthony Carrigan is going to be playing Rex Mason, aka Metamorpho in Superman Legacy, and I got some questions. The first one is, why him? And this kind of cuts both ways. Why this character? I don't know. I don't need a really good explanation for why this character is in this movie. Metamorpho's cool. I could see him slotting into a movie like this easily if just he is an established member of the DC hero community. Makes sense. I do think Anthony Carrigan, to me, now James, we've been very clear, and audience, everybody watching, has been very clear, we trust James Gunn. He's been doing great stuff. He's made the best Marvel movies, and he has a real eye for this casting thing. And also, I'm sure it's not just James Gunn, right? It's like a team of people. And maybe, I don't know if Sarah Haley Finn is working with them. I don't know if there's another, one of them out there doing DC stuff. But either way, like, this is something people put together. As someone who is pretty familiar with Metamorpho, I don't completely see this one. I trust you, but I'm just a little curious because for people that don't know, Metamorpho, the Element Man, I talk about him in my Wonder Woman 84 rewrite because I do think he would have fit really well into that movie if they lent into some of the Indiana Jones exploration kind of stuff that I think you could have done with this search for an artifact. But anyway, Metamorpho is Rex Mason. He is an explorer, like an Indiana Jones, or like I probably used footage of Brendan Fraser from The Mummy because I really think that's kind of what that character is, at least classically. And he's an explorer doing work for Simon Stagg, gets infected by a mysterious chemical or something. I think it's like a mysterious artifact that gives him this, turns his skin purple and orange and white and rocky and all kinds of different kind of textures. And he gets the power to turn any part of his body into anything. So like he can turn his hand into stone, he could turn his whole body into gas, he could do whatever. I'm pretty sure has done the hand into kryptonite thing to beat up Superman. He's very powerful. But on the other hand, he had a girlfriend or a wife or it was a fiance or something, and she was in love with him and they had this very good relationship. And then he gets turned into what he describes as like, I'm a monster, I'm a freak. And then that kind of set his path of character development in motion, where it's like, no, he has to kind of learn to become more than just a handsome face, and also, looks aren't everything. It makes sense that he would be played by someone who is bald, because the character is bald. And I guess the character is traditionally white, and he's white. Anthony Carrigan is white. And I'm not saying I don't think Anthony Carrigan is a good actor. I think he's a very talented actor. I'm not the biggest fan of Barry just because sometimes it gets a little too intense, but he's great on it. Obviously, people love him. I remember his work in The Flash, his work in Gotham. So I think he is a good actor. However, he doesn't scream Rex Mason to me. He doesn't scream like, devil may care, tough as nails adventure man. I think the craziest part of that casting is that it seems like you have quite a few Rex Masons in your stable of guys, including one you just cast, Nathan Fillion. That's like one of my ideal Rex Masons. I think like Brendan Fraser, back in the day, but kind of now could do that. I mean, that's kind of what Robot Man is. It's not the same kind of origin, but obviously he's played that character before, and then it's you wake up in the new body and, oh my God, I'm a monster, right? That same arc. I'm sure there's other actors that are not white guys who could fit that role as well, but like there is something to the way at least I see Metamorpho, where he has to start as this kind of classic hunk and then get kind of torn down and built back up. And I'm not saying Anthony Carrigan is not like a good actor or is not a handsome man or anything like that, but it doesn't read like Brendan Fraser in The Mummy to me. And because we have Nathan Fillion right there, it's like that is what I'd always expected from that. So I'm curious. I'm curious why this. Are we going in a very different direction with Metamorpho than usually? Because part of why I think Metamorpho works really well, the way that I've been describing him, that like classic Rex Mason adventurer thing, is because, and this has come up a lot the last 2 days, they recently wrote a book, and by they, let's look it up. Let's figure out who it was. So they made a book, DC made a book recently called The Terrifics, written by Jeff Lemire with art by Ivan Rice and Joe Prado. And this book is very clearly like a DC Fantastic Four. Now, I've heard people describe it as a parody of the Fantastic Four. I don't think that's quite what it is. In fact, the DC Comics has a parody of the Fantastic Four, and that's Hank Henshaw and his crew of astronauts who went into space and then came back and all had horrible, body horror turn them into either dead or like in Hank's case, driven him to madness. But the idea of the Terrifics is you have Mr. Terrific, who, we talked about in that last video, but smartest man, one of the smartest men alive, decathlete, genius, works with nanotechnology, generally well-adjusted leader type. You have Phantom Girl, who is a member of the Legion of Superheroes. I cannot remember why she's there, because she, I believe, is traditionally like a Legionnaire, so she's from the future. And so they tend to time travel, so they can be in modern stories, like stories written to be taking place, in the current day. But you got her, you got Plastic Man. Everyone loves Plastic Man. We've kind of expected he's going to be in one of these for a while, played by some sort of comedian, a Ben Schwartz, a John Mulaney, an Andy Samberg. There's a lot of characters, like character actors that can play Plastic Man. And then you've got Rex Mason, Metamorpho. Now, even though the powers don't quite add up 100%, they do fill the roles, right? Mr. Terrific is Mr. Fantastic. And I don't know if that character was written that way. Like they envisioned Mr. Terrific as like, he'll be like our Mr. Fantastic knockoff. I think they just, in fact, Mr. Terrific, very well, the original one probably existed before Mr. Fantastic because he's a JSA guy and they're all super old. I don't know. Either way, he's different enough, but he's a super genius. He's the leader. He's the father figure. You have Phantom Girl. She's the girl. She also has like phantom invisibility kind of powers. So she's your invisible woman. You have Plastic Man, who has the power to stretch. So you'd say, oh, he's your Mr. Fantastic, but he's the kind of goofball, younger, although I think he's probably about the same age as the rest of them. So he's your Human Torch. And then you have Metamorpho, who is very much the Thing. He is this, I was a handsome, normal guy who turned into a monster. And, I don't know where I fit into the world anymore. Does my wife or fiance or whatever love me? Like it's that arc. And it seems like if we're casting Mr. Terrific and we're casting Metamorpho and Plastic Man has always been on the docket, I think we're getting the Terrifics, which is going to be so funny because that's going to come out before Fantastic Four at this point. Like I think we'll probably see them in Superman Legacy if we're getting all these guys. Like I think the Terrifics will be an established team. Now they're not like the Fantastic Four where they are a family who goes on a mission, gets powers together. In the original book, because I've read this maybe 2-3 years ago, they're a team of people that are just brought together kind of by accident. I felt like it had something to do with like after one of the big events, they are like stuck together, like maybe like quantum entanglement or something like that. Maybe it is like the Marvels, but I know Plastic Man was a big part of that series and Metamorpho because of Dark Knights. This was right after Metal, the event where like the different DC metals were a big thing, and because Plastic Man and Metamorpho both are kind of like they could change their bodies into different things and their composition is weird. They were both really integral in that story. So for that reason, I think these characters just had to be near each other. And that was the conceit of the first book. And they hung out with like an adventurer from the olden days. It's a really good book. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to reread it now for sure. But I guess my question is like Anthony Carrigan, great actor. And listen, James Gunn, I trust you. I trust the process, As someone who was in Philadelphia for Trust the Process, maybe that isn't the best phrase to use, but I do believe that this can work. I'm sure there's a vision. I'm sure there's something going on. He's not who I would have picked. A Nathan Fillion type, a Winston Duke, perhaps even, like someone who's going to do what the Thing is going to do in his movie. And like this could be completely different now. Maybe we are going to get a Metamorpho who, because Anthony Carrigan, honestly, if you told me he was cast as Plastic Man, I'd buy it because he is kind of silly as NoHo Hank, and obviously he's got range, but like if you showed me those 4 characters, you crossed out the one who is a black man, I'm not sure about Phantom Girl, but crossed out him, you just have Metamorpho and Plastic Man. Which one is Anthony Carrigan gonna play? I'd say Plastic Man. So interesting, this is not what I would have expected, and I still think it's gonna be good. It seems like this casting is mostly happening because if there is an actor strike, they're not gonna be able to do stuff, so it seems like it just kind of is a coincidence that it's all this week kind of happening at once. I mean, it's not a coincidence because I just told you why it's happening, but it's just like that happens to coincidentally be the week another big thing for the channel happens, and a video I'm going to put out, which I'm really excited about. I hope, please, James Gunn, by the time this video goes out, I just ask you, give me like 2 days to release my second Fan Casting the Authority video before you start casting them, because I would really like to be able to not be completely scooped by that. I trust you. I'm very interested in this. Potentially Daniel Craig is up to something. I've said, you know, it seems like he might not be Lex, according to James on Twitter, but Jack Hawksmoor, that would work very well. I think he has that energy. He's got that tough kind of city street, like I could see it. So I think that'd be very cool. And listen, everybody that's been with the Nando Cut watching videos, I've been putting out a lot of stuff this week. There've been a lot of casting stuff and then a lot of other things I wanted to talk about. Thank you guys for watching the videos. Head on over to the Discord if you use Discord. I really appreciate it. And I just appreciate it. It's fun. I think it's been good, especially for Secret Invasion. It's been great to have those conversations there with everybody as that's happening. And also, yeah, it's going to be a fun way to interact with everybody when all the rest of this news comes out for who knows whatever, you know, movie or show we get some casting information for soon. So, Anthony Carrigan, Metamorpho. We got Metamorpho, we got Guy Gardner, we got Hawkgirl, and we got Mr. Terrific also appearing in Superman Legacy. It's exciting. We're off to the races, baby. Hopefully this movie is good. Like I said, I trust you, James Gunn. You know what you're doing. I am very interested to see when we get some of these other characters cast. Like, I got him over my shoulder, and in books over my shoulder, where's Booster Gold? Like, I feel like he could show up in Superman Legacy as well, like in the background or in a fight or something. And then it's like, that casting is going to be pretty big. Maybe I'll make a video about it, but honestly, these just like popping up so quickly that it's kind of like whack-a-mole, where it's like, I don't know if I want to do all of them. We'll see. We'll see. Let me know what you guys want to see more videos about. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Oh, and also support the writers and the actors if they go on strike, because striking is important and their demands are reasonable. And we need writers to write the things. That is one of the main things we need for the movies. Unless the movies are all going to be documentaries, people need to write documentaries. We need writers, so support the writers. All right.